What if I told you that airlines have been using the same quiet trick for decades? Not a trick with planes, a trick with words. They've trained us to believe that help is a favor, that assistance is optional, and that comfort is something you pay extra for. But here's the truth. If you're over 60, or traveling with someone who is many of those kind gestures aren't kindness at all. They're federally protected rights. Flying today feels exhausting on purpose. Long lines, loud terminals, constant pressure to hurry. The system is designed to make you feel grateful for even the smallest bit of help. And airlines are counting on one thing that you don't know the law. Because there is a law, a powerful one. And it gives you specific rights airlines are required to honor. They don't have to tell you about them. You have to ask, and you have to use the right words. Today, we're opening the rulebook airlines hope you never read. 10 rights that can change how you fly after 60, and the exact language that makes airlines listen. Because when you know the rules, you're not asking for a favor, you're reminding them of the law. 1. The law: airlines never volunteer. We've all accepted this idea that flying is supposed to be hard. You drag your luggage through terminals that feel like small cities. You stand in long, winding lines. Your back hurts. Your legs ache. And every step feels rushed. Then come the fees. Checked bags, seat selection, a few extra inches of legroom, even water. The system trains you to feel small, to feel processed, and to feel grateful when someone finally helps. But here's what most travelers never realize. Many of those moments of help aren't kindness. They're the law. There is a federal law called the Air Carrier Access Act, and it exists to protect passengers with medical mobility or age-related needs. This law doesn't give airlines a choice, it gives them an obligation. But here's the catch, the part they rely on. Airlines are not required to offer these rights automatically. They don't have to explain them. They don't have to remind you. You have to ask. And you have to ask in a way that shows you know the rules. They're counting on you being too polite, too tired, or too overwhelmed by the airport chaos to ever do that. That's about to change, because once you know the language, everything shifts. 2. The senior fare they don't want you to ask for. Let's start with something most people have already given up on. Senior flight discounts. You search online, Google Flights, Kayak. Airline websites, same prices, no senior option, no checkbox, no hint. So you assume the obvious. They don't exist anymore, but that assumption is exactly what airlines are counting on, because senior fares do still exist. They're just hidden. Why? Because airline pricing today is controlled by dynamic algorithms. Their goal is simple: show the highest possible price to the most people. A fixed senior discount breaks that system. So airlines quietly removed it from their websites and moved it somewhere most people don't look anymore. The phone. Major airlines like Delta, United, and American still offer senior fares, usually for passengers 65 and older on select routes. But here's the key mistake people make. They call and ask, "Do you have any discounts?" The answer will almost always be no. Instead, you must be specific. Here are the exact words. "Can you please check for a senior fare for a passenger over 65 on this route?" That sentence forces the agent to search fare systems that aren't connected to the website. Sometimes the online price is cheaper, but often, especially for last-minute or complex trips, that hidden senior fare can save real money. They won't tell you. You have to ask by name. 3. the free TSA service almost no one uses. For many travelers, this is the most stressful part of flying. Security, the noise, the shouting, the rushed instructions. Shoes off, no, not yet. Laptop out, wait. Leave it in. It's chaos. But there's a free service that can change this completely, and almost no one talks about it. It's called TSA Cares. This program is run by the Transportation Security Administration, not the airlines. If you have mobility issues, medical devices, cognitive concerns, or even high anxiety about screening, you can request a personal TSA support specialist. This officer meets you before the checkpoint and stays with you from start to finish. They explain each step calmly. They help with medical devices like pacemakers or CPAP machines. They give you time, and they advocate for you inside the system. You don't need forms. You don't need a doctor's note. You simply call TSA Cares at least 72 hours before your flight, give them your flight details, and briefly explain what kind of help you need. One phone call can turn the most overwhelming part of flying into a calm, supported experience. This isn't a favor. It's a service you're entitled to. 4. The upgrade. You don't have to pay for. Airlines are experts at one thing: unbundling. The ticket gets you on the plane. A seat costs extra. An aisle seat costs more. More legroom. That's a premium upgrade. But here's the truth: they don't advertise. Many of those same seats are free when they're requested as a medical or accessibility accommodation. Under federal law, certain seating needs are not upgrades. They are requirements airlines must honor. The difference comes down to language. Don't say, "I want an aisle seat." Say, "I require an aisle seat due to a medical condition that requires frequent restroom access." Don't say, "I'd like more legroom." Say, "Due to limited knee mobility, I require a bulkhead seat or equivalent legroom as an accommodation." That one change turns a preference into a legal necessity. And here's something most people don't know. The online seat map is not the real seat map. Airlines hold back many of the best seats for airport control. The gate agent sees what you don't. Arrive early. Speak calmly. Use the words "I require," not "I'd like." One properly phrased sentence can save you money and make your flight physically manageable. 5. The free airport escort you've seen but never used. You've seen this before. You're rushing through the terminal, your connection is boarding, and your stress is climbing. Then you notice someone else. They're moving calmly. Guided by an airline employee. Their bag is being handled. No panic, no rushing. You assume it must be expensive. First class only. It isn't. That service is called guided assistance, sometimes called meet and assist, and it is 100% free. Federal law requires airlines to provide this service to passengers who request it due to mobility, cognitive, or sensory limitations. And yes, feeling unsteady, overwhelmed by crowds, or worried about getting lost counts. Airlines don't promote this service for one reason: it costs them money. But the law is clear. If you request guided assistance, you're entitled to a continuous personal escort from check-in through security to your seat on the plane. And when you land, that same help can meet you at the aircraft door and escort you all the way to baggage claim or the curb. This turns a stressful journey into a supported one. But again, language matters. Don't ask. Can someone help me? Say, "I need guided assistance due to a mobility limitation." That statement activates the system, and once it's activated, they are obligated to act. 6. The bags you never have to pay for. Airlines make billions every year from baggage fees. A single round trip can easily cost hundreds of dollars just to bring your own belongings. But here's what they don't emphasize. An entire category of luggage always flies free. Under federal law, all assistive devices and medical equipment are exempt from baggage fees and do not count toward your baggage allowance. That includes more than most people realize. CPAP machines, portable oxygen concentrators, nebulizers, walkers, canes, crutches, diabetic supplies, medication cooling bags, even extra batteries for medical devices. You can check or carry these items at no charge. And here's the important part. At the counter, don't ask a question. Don't say, "Is this okay?" Make a statement, "I am traveling with medical equipment that is exempt from baggage fees." If an agent questions it, they may visually inspect the item, but they cannot demand a prescription or make you turn it on. You are not required to explain your diagnosis. This isn't a loophole. It's a protected right. And every trip you use it, money stays in your pocket. 7. What changes automatically after age 75? There's a persistent myth about flying after 75, that you suddenly get full priority screening, that everything becomes easier. That's not entirely true. But what you do get still matters, and most people don't know to use it. If you are 75 or older, you automatically qualify for modified security screening. That means you can keep your shoes on. You can keep a light jacket on. You don't need to enroll. You don't need to pay. And you don't need special paperwork. Your age is visible on your photo ID. TSA officers are trained to apply this automatically. But airports are rushed places. If they try to hurry you, you can calmly say, "I am 75. I believe I can keep my shoes and light jacket on." Now, if you have a medical device, a pacemaker insulin pump joint replacement, always inform the officer before screening. And here's a key. Right, most people don't realize if you're selected for a pat-down, you do not have to stand. You can say, "I would be more stable if I could be seated for this." They must provide a chair. Small adjustments like these reduce strain fatigue and risk, especially when every step matters. 8. Boarding before everyone else. The gate area can feel like a stampede. The moment boarding is announced, people rush forward. Bags bump. Voices rise. Pressure builds. You're worried about overhead bin space. You're trying to move carefully while 50 people line up behind you. But here's something airlines don't advertise: federal law. Guarantees pre-boarding to any passenger who needs extra time due to a disability or mobility concern. And that definition is broader than most people think. Difficulty walking. Balance issues. Joint pain. Needing to move slower without being rushed. All of these qualify. Pre-boarding happens before first class, before elite status members, before military boarding. You and your traveling companion walk onto a quiet, empty plane. No pressure, no crowd. You stow your bag while space is available. You settle into your seat without rushing. This one right removes most boarding anxiety. And the language is simple. About 30 minutes before boarding, approach the gate agent and say, "I'd like to request pre-boarding as I need additional time to get to my seat," and get settled. That's it. You don't need to explain your medical history. You don't need paperwork. If there's hesitation, you can add, "Is this an accommodation you can honor under the Air Carrier Access Act?" The tone stays calm. The result changes instantly. 9. When flights are canceled, you move to the front. A canceled flight changes everything. Suddenly, the airport turns chaotic. Long lines, raised voices, confusion everywhere. But here's something most passengers don't know. If you've already identified yourself as needing assistance or accommodation, you are not treated like everyone else. Under federal rules, Airlines must prioritize passengers with disabilities or medical needs during delays and cancellations. That includes rebooking, accommodations, all necessary assistance. Here's why this matters. When you request services like guided assistance or pre-boarding, a special accommodation flag is added to your reservation. When a flight is canceled, automated systems start rebooking elite passengers. But passengers with registered assistance needs are flagged for manual handling by a human agent. That puts you ahead of the crowd. While others wait in long lines, you can approach an agent directly and receive priority help. And if the delay is caused by the airline, not weather, they may be required to provide a hotel. Transportation. Meal vouchers. If you need to speak up, use this language: I'm a passenger with registered medical or mobility needs. This delay is creating a hardship. I need priority rebooking and accommodation information. What looks like special treatment is once again the law. 10. When everything goes wrong, your final leverage, you're on the plane. Doors closed. And nothing happens. Minutes turn into hours. The air feels stale. You're stuck. Here's what most passengers don't know. There are strict time limits on how long airlines can keep you on the tarmac. For domestic flights, they cannot hold you longer than 3 hours without letting you deplane. For international flights, the limit is 4 hours. And after 2 hours, airlines are legally required to provide food and water and ensure the lavatories are working. If you have a medical condition, diabetes, dehydration risk, medication needs, you don't wait. Press the call button and say, I have a medical condition and need water and a snack to take my medication. That's not a request. That's a protected need. Now, what if you do everything right, use the right words, and they still say no? You have 2 final tools. The first is immediate. Ask for a complaint resolution, an official, a CRO. Every airline is required by law to have one available at every airport they serve. Say this calmly. You are denying a reasonable accommodation under the Air Carrier Access Act. I request a complaint resolution official. Those 4 letters, CRO, change the situation fast. The second tool comes after the flight. File an official complaint with the Department of Transportation. Not social media. Not customer service. Use the phrase, the airline failed to provide a reasonable accommodation under the Air Carrier Access Act. They are legally required to respond. So remember this. These aren't tricks. They aren't loopholes. They are your rights. Airlines built a system hoping you'd never read the rulebook. Now you have it.